Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well-equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
So what is the level of confidence that they have that it will not collapse?
The Afghan government and leadership has to come together. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place.
And do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam, with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero. The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army, but the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
Fucking melting brains, man.
Yeah?
This dude should be like out. I mean, look at him, man. He's gonna. This is what you said. No matter what they do, they're gonna stick around. Nothing's gonna change.
Rolo Tomassi, that's you. You're the one who gets away with it. You know, I know for anyone who doesn't get the context, we saw the movie L.A. Confidential, and there's a line in that film called Rolo Tomassi. It's just a concept of this guy, why he became a cop or whatever, because just to catch the guys who get away with it, because he sees he's frustrated with the fact that no matter what you do, the people who are extremely well organized, people who have everything, who have a machine behind them, they're just gonna get away with it. And it's a sinking feeling. And this is something that I often get especially when I look at the Democrats, because they get away with everything, they do, they really do. I mean, just look at no matter how many times you expose their hypocrisy, no matter how many times you actually bring facts to the table, they will always have these coastal elite professors to write a word salad, and they will always have these experts, so-called experts, including the scientific community, to actually, back it up, and in a way that you just know that you just can't win with them. And a classic example that I will predict is that this whole Obama's fucking birthday bash or whatever, that some some 70 people were tested positive and all, but they will get away with it.
Oh, you don't hear about it anywhere. You only hear about it in right-wing media. That's why they're even happier that it's right-wing media that's reporting on it, so it's probably not true.
Yeah, they will get away with it, because pretty soon the scientific community will come out and say that this is not related to their fucking party. This is just it is just a coincidental occurrence. The same way they wrote a whole scientific paper to show that the summer riots absolutely had nothing to do with the COVID spikes. But some Trump's rally in Tulsa is the cause of fucking millions of people getting COVID. I mean, they are so good at this shit. At some point or the other, it wears you down and it demoralizes you. You just don't want to keep up the good fight, because you just know that you are just not good enough to go against this.
It's people. Like wrestling; it's a rigged fight.
Yeah. It's just. I know. It's just so demoralizing to actually see go up against something this sophisticated, especially when you know that your odds are so low. So anyway, getting back to the Rolo Tomassi, I don't know if you know, but there's actually a musical band called Rolo Tomassi.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a punk rock band, and I've actually had a look at their history, and they said that they were inspired by a concept from a film called L.A. Confidential. So I'm just saying that I'm not the only one who's trying to make a thing out of this term. There are other people out there who actually feels what I feel. And I'm thinking that we should make it a recurring theme in this podcast. We should always,
Well, definitely now, because of the way things are going,
Every time we come across people getting away with shit with their sophisticated, lingo and their, multi-tiered expertise, but we know they're lying deep down inside, we should always say Rolo Tomassi. Yeah. Anyway.
I think this this reminds me of Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, right? In that movie, for people who haven't seen it, it was I think the third prequel came out in 2005, and in that movie is when the Empire shows its face finally, and throughout the movie, the bad guys are like the droid army and General Grievous, and all these Obi-Wan and his little apprentice are like, well, the future Darth Vader are fighting like all these enemies, but in reality, the real enemy is Palpatine and the Sith, right? And they turn out to be just like the Democrats. So Republicans are like General Grievous and Droid Army, and Democrats are Palpatine telling everybody else to go fight them. But in reality, the real enemy is right behind you, pretending to be your ally. That's my problem with these people. They're such frauds and just like fake allies. I mean, infinitely worse than any Republican, but they'll still keep creating fake outrage with even people I know, right? And good-meaning people will always generally try to send me like articles about crazy Republicans.
Yeah.
When if you think about what the crazy Republicans are doing, it'll be all these stories that really don't affect your. It'll be like some culture warrior bullshit or something like that.
Yeah.
They'll never talk about the Republicans being just as corrupt as Democrats, doing the same thing as Democrats. It'll be another story like Marjorie Taylor Greene talking some nonsense or something like that. But it won't be things like, or it'll be saying abortion rights or something like that, or some culture stuff. But it won't be like big pharma. They're doing the same thing, because if they talk about that, then it links them too. So they'll always implicate Republicans in that fake fight about what Republicans are doing, and then people think it's only Republicans' fault.
Republican is like the new black. They are the low-hanging fruit, and that's what everybody sort of tries to go for when they want to, like make them feel morally superior. Just attack the Republicans and you'll be fine. But we all know that they are sort of the easy target here. We are not going after the actual elephant in the room here, because nobody seems to have the guts to do that anymore. And it's kind of sad. So anyway, let's talk about what we initially started this conversation, which is about Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden is
Afghanistan.
So Joe Biden is assuring everyone that this is not going to be like another North Vietnam, which we know is all bullshit, because it's already.
He even said South Vietnam while he was talking. He didn't know his fucking North and South.
It's already a North Vietnam, because even with at least with Saigon, the fall of Saigon happened preceding U.S. Forces leaving Vietnam. But right now, Taliban, as you can see, it doesn't take an idiot to know that they are already, while the U.S. government is talking about transition, which is fucking retarded, you can see that the country is on the brink of a huge takeover. And look, I'm going to stay true to my word. I'm not going to flip-flop here just to attack Joe Biden or whatever. I'm going to do what Dave Smith has, or Ron Paul is going to do, and I'm going to stand my ground and say that in the long run, it is still better than just there's no point talking about peaceful transition and everything, and it's going to be horrible. I'm not going to lie. It's easy for us to talk about it this way because we don't have the consequences. We don't have to face the consequences. But there's going to be some really bad shit's just going to happen. There's going to be gang rapes. There's going to be mass murders. There's going to be children being murdered and all.
But those things happen even when the US was in there.
Yeah. So they are going to happen anyway. You know what I mean? But I would find that when you take the aggregate in the long run, it's just going to be, in the long run, it could be like a Vietnam. And that's not entirely a bad thing. If you look at Vietnam today, they're one of America's biggest allies, right?
Well, they're pseudo allies.
Yeah, but
they don't like China or America.
But let's say from an economic point of view, America is not
all the clothes are made there.
Yeah, America is benefiting from Vietnam, and also the Vietnamese who came from Vietnam to America, they are extremely valuable, like a portion of population. So America still can, in some way, get something out of this situation. So, and the Taliban is not a unusual ally for America when you think about it. They were once the Mujahideen. they can go back to being the Mujahideens, you know what I mean? And there is I was talking to a friend of
Remember that picture of them with Reagan in the White House in the 80s?
and the Living Daylight. Have you remember that James Bond movie? You know,
Rambo 3, man. Rambo 3.
Timothy Dalton. Yeah, man. So you know, there's still something you can resurrect from this, because I can see the global strategic sort of global situation here. What's happening? Because I was talking to my friend Tina earlier, and she pointed something very important here. So Taliban are sort of natural enemies of China, as you know, because of the whole Uyghur Muslims. They have a huge they have a huge connection there. So I think United States in some way is trying to do what they did with the Soviet Union, which is to destabilize China by allowing Taliban. This is sort of very much in the conspiracy theory.
3D geopolitics.
Yeah, this is 4D chess, obviously, but this is something that's worth keeping in the back of your mind going forward, as to how the Taliban is going to, what kind of role they're going to play for America. And
don't forget, Pakistan's really happy about this.
Yeah, so Pakistan didn't play ball. Imran Khan, neither did
Oh yeah, he talked about it, I think, recently.
So so this is I don't believe that United States is.
But what we still have 6,000 mercs in there, right? We have CIA contractors. The poppy shit needs to be cultivated. They're probably going to make even better deals now with Taliban in terms of exporting all the shit out for fueling all their fucking drug war nonsense.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, the poppy shit is important to America because that's how they fund. Just like with the what's that Contra affair, they need. So you need some sort of a way to fund some sort of a, when you want to destabilize the regime somewhere else. You need money for that.
You need to make money.
You can't just.
Also, what about the 10 trillion in mineral wealth that they have?
Yeah, they're not going to leave all that. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. America is not going to walk out of all these rare earth metals because, I mean, Greta Thunberg and...
They've invested 2 trillion, 2.6 trillion in the country since 9/11.
This shit is very important for Greta Thunberg and all that environmentalist movement. You know, they need all
Yeah,
that.
we never hear about her talking about all this shit, right?
Yeah, now she's she's a typical case of a childhood prodigy. You know, like how you see children becoming very famous and then when they lose their fame, they do all this crazy shit out of, and you can see now she's sort of, you know, in the beginning she started off, you know, her movement did not include places like China and shit when it comes to pollution, but now she's sort of throwing everything, hoping something sticks kind of situation, and this is it's pathetic. I mean, but then again,
she's also pissed off at all the Western governments because now they're not. I mean, I'm thinking maybe she was just. I mean, she's a child after all, man. I mean, I mean, you know, listen. Anyone who freaking believed Obama was some savior can't criticize Greta Thunberg. Okay. So the thing is, I'm just saying that, like, you know, I mean, but I also saw her get co-opted, just like Black Lives Matter, just like, you know, Me Too. It just seems like the powers to be. They find the next thing coming along to challenge their status quo bullshit, and they figure out a way to sort of divert them.
Yeah, it was all about Trump, and all this shit sort of, you know, happened because Trump was in power, and once Trump went, it created this huge, they're still trying to flip it on the head now, you know, and they're still trying to hang on.
Like he'll be back.
Yeah, so that he'll be back, or that it's sort of suddenly now. Because it's kind of exposed them, because they are trying to consider all the proletariat sort of working class people as the enemy, you know, the working class peasants, and it's not selling that well because you know, nobody wants it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're the Boogaloo Boys or even if you have certain bigoted views. You know, you're still going to get a lot of sympathy.
You're Americans.
Yeah. You're human beings with imperfections and struggles.
Well, I mean, in this place, you're American first, then you're human being second.
Yeah. So it's not working. So they're trying different ways, and I mean, you know, people look at the situation. They see people like Don Lemon or fucking what's the other guy, the ball I can't remember his name.
Which network? The one from CNBC?
CNN. You know.
Ali Velshi?
No, the one that he's like a gift that keeps on giving. Brian Stelter, right? Yeah. So
You mean that guy,
Yeah,
the midget?
yeah. They see him against some rural farmer, or they see him against some plumber or something. I mean, what are you really going to take their side? You're not. You know what I mean? These people are fucking idiots.
Well, shitlips will.
Yeah,
I mean, these
yeah,
coastal fucking sneering elites.
Yeah.
And when I say elites, like I know people making $40,000 a year thinking they're coastal elites, man. All right, so they go like, oh my god, it's like these freaking Trumpers, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Trump didn't get impeached, man. They need this gravy train to keep going on
And
forever.
It will go on because I don't know if you heard. In some ways, the Arizona, the whole what do you call it? The audit. It's actually gaining some traction. So they are going to give this. They are going to sort.
Tell our viewers about that. I mean, our listeners about that. I don't know. I haven't heard about this.
Well, this whole election flip thing, right? It is not over, and it is actually happening. And it is. Look, I don't know all the facts, but I do know that there was recently a press conference with Dan Crenshaw, and some of the Republicans attacked him. In it, you know, like there's a huge division. There's a huge fracture. Crack within the Republican.
Is this about the presidential?
Yeah.
Or
The
is this not- okay.
2020 election, the fraud, the thing.
Wow.
It's actually not over. It's still lingering in the back, and in some ways, it's gonna.
Well, we know there was fraud,
Yeah.
but if you talk about it, you're like some crazy person.
Yeah. So it's going to come back in a certain way, which can it's going to be like a pulling the rug under your feet kind of situation. And this is going to set precedence to the next. I mean, I don't think it's going to flip an election. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going whole Q territory here, but it's going to set the precedence, set the stage for the 2020. I mean, for the next year's provincial, for the next year's congressional, plus then the following after that 2024 election. So this is still in play. All right. So don't. For a moment think that it's over and it's not going anywhere. So Trump is still definitely something that they do worry about. And
have you noticed this?
Yeah.
This thing about the right wingers and the whole election fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that they've also managed to co-opt actual facts about election fraud? So now people will never believe there's ever any election fraud because of QAnon and all this shit. So like our elections are secure. I don't know if you remember this. Before the election, Russia was going to take over, right? And hack everything, right?
Yeah.
And the moment Joe Biden was winning, our elections are the safest ever.
Rolo Tomassi, bro. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that the thing is, you know, I mean, have people's minds been wiped that they can't see this? I don't understand. What is the level of propaganda like 300 now that...
Do you honestly believe that this is propaganda? Because I honestly believe that these people are fundamentally evil, like in terms of the.
No, they are. I'm talking about in terms of fooling everybody else, like normal people.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The normal people. I do believe that a lot of the normal people, especially the ones who support Democrats, are aware of it. I mean, they can't be that stupid to know that they're hypocrites when it comes to all this shit. I mean,
well, I interact with people like this on the daily. I'm telling you, it's like being in a Stepford Wife movie, man. I mean, they're literally like, remember that show with what's that, Scarlet Witch on Disney Plus? What was it called? She and that robot husband of hers. You know, it was there last year. What's that girl? You know Scarlet Witch, right, from MCU?
No, sorry, you got me.
The Scarlet Witch, man, the girl with the powers in the Avengers.
I haven't seen Avengers. So except the Avengers 2, the one where Hulk smashed one, that's the only one I've seen.
Right. Oh my God, man. Okay. But I think I mentioned that. Remember, I sent you a picture once of her. I said she's a very beautiful person.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so in the movie, it's just like she's in a sitcom and everyone's playing like a part.
Okay.
And they think they're like doing they're normal. I that's why I believe it's really propaganda right from day one. I mean, if you think about it, man. I mean, like, I thought Dick Cheney was an awesome dude in 1991 when he invaded Iraq. I knew nothing because information was so limited then. But to them, information is still limited because it's limited to MSNBC, CNBC, and all these idiotic companies. They don't, I mean, you can't see them on any other platform. I mean, you know, why do you think Washington Post just put an article up about Rumble, right? because now we have Glenn Greenwald, Tulsi Gabbard, all going to this other platform, right? And Washington Post said YouTube wannabe for the far right. You see the framing already?
I mean, can you believe that? Okay, so Washington Post, I mean, half their readers was sort of pro-socialist or at least sympathetic to socialism and all that shit. And then they will say something like YouTube wannabe, and suddenly competition is a bad thing. I mean, like, imagine that, right? I mean, I don't think I can. I don't have enough words right now. I'm not prepared to sell this, but seriously. But when you actually just have a think about it for a moment, when you say that a certain streaming website that is trying to compete with a global monopoly is labeled as the YouTube wannabe. I mean, just think about the implications of this. I mean, you got to take a step back and try to understand all the dynamics at play, and how much, how deep the rabbit hole goes when you are being smeared for competing with a monopoly. I mean, yeah, and suddenly these are YouTube wannabes. They're far right stuff. So anything that competes against your YouTube or the Google or the Facebook now can easily be can easily be labeled as far right platforms, because I mean, it's quite natural, right? Because when you don't have a voice, and when you can't speak, when you can't express your opinions, you will go for alternatives. And when you go for alternatives, those platforms are going to be, smeared all over the news. I mean, this is some serious North Korean shit happening right here, but we just don't know it. I mean, we just think that suddenly all these.
Yeah, we're not North Korea. That's all we know.
Yeah, we are not North Korea. That's all. I mean, yeah, it is fucking crazy. And So I don't know anything much about the Rumble, but now that they have signed up Tulsi, I'm definitely going to have to check it out and see. What this platform is all about. So that alone is enough for me to appetize me. Yeah.
So what about this extremely narcissistic, absolutely tone deaf, owned? And you know what? Like, a lot of times I can only when I see this guy, I see Samuel L. Jackson from Django. That's all I see, right? Mm-hmm. And of course they've made if you actually see a person literally be the corporate modern equivalent of what he played in Django, you know what I'm getting at, right? Yeah. I mean, I can't even say it now because it's so toxic, apparently, but descriptions of history and stuff are all cancelable events, right? Hitler is canceled, apparently. You can't even talk about him anymore. But anyway, this guy, man, with his fucking party, man, right? We didn't talk about it in detail. First of all, COVID cases, like 80 cases almost, right? And he's such a lying sack of shit. He got all that heat because he was trying to have a party on Martha's Vineyard. Of course, I'm talking about our great neoliberal president, Barack Obama. He had this huge party. Before he had the party, he got all this heat for it, claimed to have scaled it back to close friends and family, and proceeded to have an even bigger party in a massive fucking circus tent, right? No shits given, no fucks given, no super spreader. And like, again, all of this is Rolo Tomassi stuff, but you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's just like, this guy was like, and in fact, most people I've heard comment on this, like Crystal Ball and Matt and stuff, they're all going back in time to remind people what he meant. But you know what? He was always owned. I saw this empty suit at the 2004 Democratic National Convention, right? Yeah. And I knew this guy was an asshole, right from the start. I mean, it's not that hard to see through him. But it's amazing that people just fall for the fluff so much. And he was doing it when the federal ban almost got over. I mean, people are going to be evicted. They were getting evicted while he was having his fucking party. And he's the greatest. I knew a PhD who fucking worked with me. Motherfucker had a fucking poster of him up in the office. I mean, what is this, North Korea? We carry around president posters in the freaking office and let's just make everything black and white. Man, it just annoyed me to no end.
Speaking of Samuel L. Jackson from Django, let's give up for the most vaccinated nation on the earth, the Navajo Nation. Yeah. So another
bootlicker extraordinaire.
Another Stockholm syndrome. So yeah, hats off to them. So
Maybe they just have like paranoia from being killed off by disease.
yeah, there's always
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, who can blame them when your whole population is fucking wiped out, So
Yeah.
you bind, so all in the name of
Maybe they would just threaten, like, listen, if you don't take this vaccine, your casinos are fucking gone, man.
yeah, absolutely, and that's what I mean. So anyway,
I think they pay no taxes too, right? I don't know. I may be wrong. I mean, not personally, but maybe some areas might be tax exempt and they do their own thing. I don't know. I'm just
and
guessing
look,
here.
it's all for a good cause. Gambling is good, it does wonders for the families, as we know.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
like alcoholism and
Oh yeah.
beatings.
So going from one Obama to another Obama, a Harvard graduated lawyer who is a hero now, is the one who brought down the Central Park Karen. You want to talk about this story a bit, because there's
Oh yeah, man.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought we didn't talk about him yet, right?
we haven't talked about it.
For some reason, I thought we.
No, we.
Oh right. So it turned out he's like, and it's funny. I mean, I feel like it actually taught me as well. Like, you can't write everybody off all the time, right? And I think that's what they want us to do. It's in the air, right? Like everything is just one narrative. You can't question shit. Remember when 9/11 truthers were considered some kind of conspiracy theorists? And now, if you go to YouTube, you'll see every comment on. So NIST was this government agency that did the investigation about what happened, and they have all these videos up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like more than 80% of the comments say, "This is an inside job. This is an inside job."
Yeah.
Like it's like people are not believing this shit anymore. So same with this guy. I mean, like we were just told, right? I mean, it didn't help that that event happened. That we're talking about the guy Chris Cooper who confronted that woman in Central Park and wanted her to take her dog somewhere else, and it turned out to be this video where she called the cops and said a black man is like threatening me, I'm fearing for my life, this, that, and the other. And it turns out like it happened on the same day as George Floyd, right? I think that was a really bad circumstantial day for her because as it is, Rolo Tomassi, you can't win ever, and now we've got the added bonus of this happening on the same day as George Floyd. And it turns out he did. Barry Weiss on the Honestly podcast did a much better investigation than any mainstream media, and they uncovered facts like the fact that this guy made it a fucking career to confront people in the park, walking around with dog treats in his pocket when he doesn't even have a dog.
Okay, so to give people some context, so he himself has admitted to how this conversation went down, So he went to the Rumble, this area called the Rumble in Central Park. It's sort of an area where, people do go and sort of mind your own business and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, so people, you're supposed to keep your dog on the leash and shit like that, but that's true. But this is a very obsolete kind of a situation because no one really follows that in that area.
And no one was there when she was there.
Yeah, exactly. No one. She had to leave the city for a while. She was recovering from an illness and stuff like that. She wasn't exactly. She was sort of a very in a kind of a very compromised situation. She was already.
And she wanted to stay away from people. That's why she was there.
She wanted.
This was during that COVID time.
And this is a classic example because she's a giant shitlib herself. You know what I mean? And this happened to her. So this is a great message for all the shitlibs out there that your turn will eventually come and you're going to be another.
No, but they eat themselves. Remember, they eat her.
Yeah.
They go after their own like Cuomo and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, okay, so I think she could have done this a little bit, but I think the fact that when she called the cops and said there's a black man, like all that shit.
But she did say that they asked her to describe what was happening and who was attacking
her.
Yeah,
because
what's she gonna say? A fucking man, like a generic man, an avatar is attacking me?
Actually, if you listen to the other side of the call, you can understand why she kept reiterating in such a dramatic way. Because the woman on the other side who was taking the call, ma'am, I can't hear you, and so she's trying to get all these keywords out within, as efficiently as possible. But
listen, you and me both know that any white woman in that position, right, at that time would have done the same fucking thing. I'm not justifying it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because of the brainwashing, because of the stereotypes, and the fact that this guy didn't help himself. He's a cop-loving black dude.
Yeah,
he wanted more cops in the park.
Exactly, and that's what kills the story. Because if you go a week before this incident happened, there's a video or an audio tape where he's actually giving a speech in Central, where he's calling for more police presence over to control this situation where people are having dogs unleashed. Now in the Rumble, dog being unleashed is actually something that is quite common and no one followed, because it's like that fucking law that what did they bring to take down Michael Flynn, some 160-year-old law. I think I think it's called the Logan's Act or whatever, right? So this is one of those type of obsolete laws that people just suddenly, it's just there in the books.
They reach for it when they want to
reach for it when they want to ruin someone. Like it's a weapon that usually remains dormant for 100 years or whatever, and whenever you want it, it's just out there. So it's not even a practical law. So she was minding her own business when this guy approached her, and he said, so he himself has admitted to this, because he has a Facebook post where he says, ma'am, you gotta have your dog on the leash. And she was actually quite very polite. She was like, he's a bit agitated or whatever. I'm not here to be on your face. I just want to mind your own business type of, in essence.
But he started giving treats to the dog.
Yeah, but
that's when the amped up.
He said, this is what he said. Okay, so you're not going to do what I like, and I'm definitely not going to do I'm going to do what I want. You're not going to like it. And then he held the
that sounds really innocent.
Yeah, but he held so what he was doing is he started baiting the dog, and he held a helmet in a way that gave her the impression that he's going to whack the dog with that helmet when the dog approaches. And this is not something that he has done just to her. There have been several other people who have said that this guy's done the same thing to them.
But they couldn't come out in front. Why? I wonder why. Why couldn't they come out?
Because they're just too scared. Except one young guy who was a black.
And they're white. That's why.
There was one black guy who actually did come out and say,
he's the one who came in front.
He said that this motherfucker did the same thing to me, and I got so pissed that I pushed him away. You know what I mean? And he kept coming after my dog. So he was clearly the aggressor. And
he was a smaller guy. He was a much smaller guy than this guy.
So this guy has been the aggressor all along. And so the reason why I'm saying, so I know that there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this, and they're going to, still, I'm not going to be able to convince them of this. Because, in their mind, she's like the white bitch, Karen, and, he's the black victim. But think about this guy. This guy is like a Harvard lawyer or some shit like that.
Oh, he's a freaking Oreo. He thinks I think he did all this. Any black person in America without these advantages of Harvard would have. I'm not even saying that it's a good thing, right? That the fact that you have to walk around thinking, man, cops are going to kill me, and people think of me in this way because of the way the fucking society is. It's all bullshit, right? But this guy thought he was above it because he's from Harvard. As far as he's concerned, he's a white guy, right? The fucking Biden supporter. The moment this happened, Biden got in on that train, interviewed him for his campaign, and when I saw that, I was like, this guy's full of shit.
Yeah, so he's a Harvard lawyer who's now getting all these bird tours in the Central Park, and he's like, it's almost the level of a civil rights icon. While this woman is, this woman is in hiding. She didn't even.
Oh, she left the country.
She's thinking of leaving the country eventually, but right now she's somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Like she didn't even want to give her where.
I think she's Canadian anyway, right? So.
I'm not sure, but she got so many death threats. Like apparently one of the messages she got on Instagram was something like, you should slit your wrist, and they gave her a very strategic sort of instructions in how she should kill herself. I think it's better off for humanity overall if you take your life now. It's sort of the Chrissy Teigen type of shit. You know what I mean? Like like the so she has no chance. Like in the court of public opinion, she'll never win. She she has no voice, which is why we are
even the New York Times article was completely biased. Remember, they talked about how bad she is and how great he is.
Yeah. So she's completely voiceless, which is why we are talking about this. And at the same time, I just want you guys to have a little bit of a social experiment here. Flip this narrative around. Flip the characters around. Let's see, she was Chris Cooper guy, she approached.
Or maybe she was a female version of him.
Yeah. So she.
And there was a white
So
man.
a white woman approaches a black man who with an unleashed dog, and she tells him to, she tries to, enforce some sort of a law that no one else follows, and then she starts feeding the dog to make him feel threatened, and then record it. Are you?
Oh, she's a Karen.
Are you going to still say that? Is that you in your mind? Is the verdict going to change? You know what I mean? You will probably still think that she's the bad person. You know what I mean? Yeah. No matter which way you flip this, even if you flip the characters, she's always gonna be the bad one in this situation. Yeah. And I just thought that this is an interesting one because this to me seems like a Covington Part 2 in many ways. You know what I mean? Like. I myself was guilty of this. To be honest, I was one of those people who probably did say a couple of negative things about her when I first saw it, especially because in the eve of.
This is how it was.
Yeah.
It was how it was narrated. Yeah. We all looked at it as poor. We didn't know much about this guy, right? And they even said that no one even listened to the phone calls, and they talked about this guy and his great upbringing and how this guy is a fucking like rich motherfucker, right? I mean, listen, man. It doesn't matter whether it's black, brown. The moment someone gets their hands on a few fucking dollars, they all think they're fucking white, right? I remember I was working in England, and this guy who's doing really well, and he's like I hate the word, but he's also an Anglo-Indian, right? It's like I feel like it just irks me. And he was telling me things like, "I wish I had your skin color and your eyes." I'm like, bro, you got millions in the bank. What do you care about like how you look? It doesn't matter. You got the financial advantage that many people don't have. I guess. I mean, the thing is, they want. It's this whole colonial hangover, or I don't know what it is. They just assume that we're going to be part of the power structure, and we are also them. You're never going to be them. The people who with the money and who are actually really white, you don't want to be them, man. This is insane. But I think it's a part of being successful. Like you fill that part, you become. Part of you really like Obama. He really thinks he doesn't. He's a lapdog, man, and he always will be. It doesn't matter how much money, and they'll use that racism part. Remember, Republicans hate him. He's a black man, so they hate him. You think what Democratic rich motherfuckers don't hate Obama? They're using him. That's all they are. But he like they talked about it in the Chop or Trap House podcast last week. He really wanted to be part of the club. He wants the celebrity. He wants the homies. He wants all these Hollywood actors to come to his parties. That's all he did it for. He didn't do it for anything else other than just wanting to be part of the club.
Yeah. I mean, there are. This is another. When I first saw this story, like not when I first saw it, when I saw it like last week, the first thing that I thought of, this is another Obama. You know what I mean? Just in. So
And think about how disappointing the Obama is for so many people. I mean, I have a half sister who's black, and I remember her calling me in 2008 when he won, and she was like, she went to that freezing. His inauguration was freezing, like the first one, right? And millions went there, like over 1 million people were there. And I told her, I said, this guy's owned by Goldman Sachs, man, right? Do you know that? I don't care. He's black, man. I was like, Jesus, all it takes is just to be any hollow shell, and that's it. You could put a white man in a black suit, and they'll fucking believe it, because it's just, I think they figured out, the Democrats have figured out the power of symbolism. Just do nonsense, and, we'll have a whole section of votes ready for us, and I just don't get, after decades and millennia of not getting anywhere, these suckers keep falling for it over and over again. And if you say anything, you're just goddamn racist.
So going from one black man to another black man, let's talk about Cori Bush. Oh, she's a woman. Sorry. I'm just kidding. Right. Okay. So, okay. So
you're going to be canceled. You know that, right? Oh, my God.
You better edit that shit out. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, no, we're not. I'm just saying that you can't say shit nowadays. You got to watch like every sec. You know what's going to happen 20 years from now? Someone finds this podcast and they'll retroactively cancel you, like the time cancel.
They might cancel like 3 generations of me, like in North Korea, as that chick, Yanome Park was saying, Joe Rogan, I'm done. My chick children and people who know my children, people who owe me money, like, what's that movie, Usual Suspects, right? The Kaiser Soze, he even killed the people who owed them money, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Cori Bush,
right?
So Cori Bush, so she had this huge performative radicalism, sleeping in front of the doorsteps of the Congress while telling the world that she is entitled to her own private security, while the rest of us have to deal with
Defund the police.
deal with crime in our neighborhoods and have to be victimized by crime. So now this one here, moratorium, we need to talk a little bit about it, because you and I don't think we are going to see eye to eye on this one in many ways.
Let's go. Let's
Okay,
go.
let's go, bitch. Okay, so all right. So okay, so I have a problem. I have an issue with the moratorium, and I'll tell you. So first of all, I don't believe that whatever it is she's doing is a fucking solution, because at the end of the day, Democrats do this all the time. They create the problem and then they come up with this performative radicalism to sort of be like like the savior. And like the same way, this is something that I was talking with Tina earlier about, even with Biden, like he brings up this crime bill and all that shit, and then he comes out and pretends to be the savior of black people.
He didn't bring up the crime bill. He literally drafted it.
So it's the same thing. So
he did draft it, not literally.
So why are people being evicted right now across the across the everywhere, not just in America? Like, I went to a shopping mall yesterday and I felt so privileged that I saw 80% of the stores closed. Okay, the Kmart was open, a couple of other stores were open. This is not and I'm not having a go at Kmart here, but I'm just saying that, all these little shops, like the cafes, the chocolate shops, the hair, makeup, barber shops, these shops are all shut. That means that so Australia, we are on our 6th lockdown right now, right? That means that all these people, they're not going to get any kind of compensation. They get some kind of compensation, but let's just say that instead of getting paid for 4 weeks this month, they will make 1 week of wage, and they're supposed to put a roof over your head with that. These people, these little people, these innocent people. You know what I mean? Just and I felt so guilty. At the same time, I've also felt privileged that I am in that small percentage of people who is who has a buffer to deal with this type of situation. You know what I mean? So getting back to Cory Bush, so they are the root cause of why these kind of stores are shut. They're the root cause of why people are unable to make a living, because they're the ones who were the biggest advocates of lockdowns. You know what I mean? They wanted to make sure that all the little people around the world, they become desperate enough that they will, gobble up whatever the bullshit that, the politicians are willing to throw eventually to rescue them. So she is the cause of it. And now she comes and fucking sleeps in the, at the steps, pretending to be some kind of a savior. Now, what bothers me about...
I don't think she's the cause of it, though.
You don't believe?
Because she's actually a homeless person before she became a congresswoman.
Oh, okay.
So it would be kind of weird to say that.
Well, I'm just saying that the Democrats...
She works for the party that is the cause of it.
They were the biggest proponents of creating a situation where people are being evicted. But at the same time, don't you think the whole idea of a moratorium itself is kind of unconstitutional? Because
they should have just bailed the landlords out, like they did bail out landlords. For example, Blackstone is the biggest landlord in America,
yes.
right? They bailed out Blackstone.
But that's the thing, though. That is such a... if you look at the landlords statistically, 80% of the landlords are just mom and pop sort of landlords.
No, they don't care about those people. Fuck them.
So because at the end of the day, moratorium means it is sort of a seizure of your property. Like, you own that fucking property, right? You should be able to, if you own that, you should be able to do whatever you want with it, right? I mean, you own it, right? But they're telling you that you...
Doesn't matter. You like to work, but you can't work because of the lockdown. Same shit.
Yeah, but but don't you think so? But here's the bigger picture here, and this is, I'm kind of going to the tinfoil hat, but this is where proven that corporations are sort of voraciously buying up rental properties across the country. Is the Biden administration actually helping this along by forcing mom and pop landlords into bankruptcy?
Yes.
Because what's that company you just mentioned? What was it again? BlackRock?
Blackstone and BlackRock, both.
So they are actually acquiring all these suburban houses, like
And don't forget, BlackRock and all these people will also have their philanthropic arms supporting nonprofits who slavishly go along with them and support them, and in turn propagate the fact that they're good guys while they're fucking over everyone. So it's a kind of fucking nexus, dark web of like just, you know, multiple facets. We're gonna fuck you from here, and then we're gonna be your savior, like you said. So we'll be both.
Yeah.
But in reality, we're fucking.
Yeah. And I mean, if you can't actually, like in my case, I do have a small investment property, but I do know that if I don't get the rent from them, I will not only lose that property, I will also lose the place where I'm living, because the banks are going to come and say, you know, you defaulted on that means we have to take this one, you know, they will. It's
the domino effect.
Yeah, especially considering where we come from, right? You're from India, I'm from Sri Lanka. I'm sure we can both relate that growing up, our families we've always heard a story, because in our countries there's such strong tenancy laws because we've all lost a property or two or we all know someone who lost a property to a tenant, because you can't kick them out once you fucking rent them, you know.
They're in there like squatting forever.
They are. I mean, my parents itself, my grandparents, at least I know, they lost several just rent.
And they all had to buy their houses cash. There was no mortgage.
Yeah,
back
so
then.
they will inherit a property and they will do something stupid like renting it out to someone. And once you rent it out, you can't
Done.
get. So like I have an uncle who has spent at least 30 years tried to reclaim this property. And the only reason why, like, because most people, what they eventually do is after 30 years, they give up and they will present an opportunity for the tenant to buy it for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
You know, like really, really below the market price sort of thing. But so this guy fought tooth and nail for 30 years because he inherited it from his parents. It has sentimental value. He doesn't even give a shit about the actual value of the property. He just cares about the fact that his mom, and it means it meant a lot to his mother and father. So I think he fought for 30 years. I think he won, but that is winning after 30 years. That is one of the happy endings in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
The real ending here is I'm surprised that landlords, this might make small landlords think about having a lobby, right? Because it's really those motherfuckers that make Congress work, right? Blackstone and all, they have their lobbyists, but there's no such, even the Realtors Association, right? They're like they're owned and sort of co-opted by like big business, but there's nobody representing like the coterie of small landlords across the country, and that's why they're getting fucked over, And the thing is, the worst part is like, I've noticed how it's okay. Let me ask you a question. You tell me as a landlord, right? I think it's a very bad position to be in, but I mean, say you have a tenant who doesn't pay, right? And the the government's not going to help you, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you get rid of this tenant, right, you're still not going to get any money, right? So what would you do? Would you get rid of the tenant, and knowing that you'll never rent your apartment ever or whatever? Or would you say, man, I can't get money either way? So, but I've seen a lot of the landlords just go like, tenant, fuck off. Yeah. So it's turning people into fucking like, I'm not saying that people should like put up people for free, but considering the situation where everyone's fucked, right? It looks like this is another way to divide people. Hey, you're a landlord, get rid of your tenant, man, because you're not getting paid and you are like a landlord. That fucking word, man, it's still stuck around from the 1500s. Landlord, one of the few fucking titles with a lord in it.
I hate the word landlord because none of us are like medieval barons with a big gut and a wine pouch or whatever like that. I mean, I think so see, I would never be a cunt like that. If it's like the last tenant was a single mother with a kid, and if she were to have been behind the rent by a couple of months, I would definitely support her. You know what I mean? I want to make sure. Yeah,
knowing the facts, that she's fucked over, not their fault. I mean, kicking them out, how's that going to help you get rent? You're not going to get the rent either way, right?
I will try and hold it as much as I can, but humanely, because at the end of the day, I have to pay the mortgage, and if I can't cover it, then I have to start thinking about other avenues. So
selling,
unloading that shit. So the issue with being a landlord is that what people don't realize is that last year I had so many sleepless nights because I had all these issues with the property. Like when I bought the property, I didn't realize that they've made some illegal modifications to the property, and I had to restore that. I lost several months of rent because of that. So there is so much actually involved, so much stress involved, because you're taking a lot of huge risks to make this happen. And if you ask me why are you doing it, it's quite simple, because we realize that our wages are not going to give us a better life eventually. If I need to renovate my current property, if I need to put my kids to college or something, my current wage is not going to do that. So we need to take these risks to we are investing in something expecting a bigger reward in 10 years or something like that. I mean, we have to do that. We have to think of these things. So that's the only reason why investment we would have something like an investment property. Most people do it because
but they don't care about your investments. They're gonna fuck you.
But that's the thing. So I mean, there's so much stress involved.
They want your investment to go to like the banks, not you.
So there is so much stress. There's so much stress and risk involved in doing this. And like when people say, oh, it's your fault for getting a second mortgage or whatever, or they think that you should be covering somebody's rent for free, it triggers the hell out of me, because they just want all the reward. They want your reward, but they don't want to share your stress or the risks or everything, or the hard work you put into it. You know what I mean?
But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing people just even over here in Manhattan is I know this person who's like a woman who's got 4 houses, right? She sleeps on the couch of her 1 bedroom. She rents out her bedroom, and she makes money from 4 properties that she owns, right? Now she's pissed that nobody's paying the rent, right? But I'm just thinking, here's the thing, right? None of your tenants are not paying you because they don't want to pay you, right? Everyone's fucked, basically, right? But I think it's just the Democrats and all these assholes are banking on the fact that if someone doesn't get paid, they're going to start kicking people out of the houses, right? It's causing another fracture in society where landlords are now kicking everybody out of the house, and landlords are going to be the new evil person. Exactly. And not that in reality they don't care about the landlord or the tenant, right? But the thing is, it's just going to get people who are evicted are never going to look at landlords the same way again, because when push came to shove, and it's not if I lose my job tomorrow, how am I going to pay this goddamn rent? I mean, New York City rents are insane, but my landlord wouldn't waste any time kicking me out. He'd be like, see ya, bitch. So the thing is, I feel like it's going to cause another societal fracture where landlords are just going to become the next assholes. I mean, they already are, but even bigger.
They create the problems, and then they try to provide act as a service. I mean, that's why they own the system.
Rolo Tomassi.
They set the mood. They have the setting. They just know exactly how this shit plays out, and I mean that's how you know how big it is. That while you're up against a system that that is so well planned out, and that's so grandiose in every way that you can't. I mean, you're basically just.
It's been in motion since the end of World War II. I think. I mean, this is not something that just started today.
Yeah, you're basically a tiny cog in the wheel, and you're always going to be. You're always going to be at their mercy, regardless of what it is. I mean. Another topic I wanted to bring up for this episode was obviously the lab leak theory. Now, I know you and I, we've sort of been...
You're cancelled, you're cancelled.
Okay, so you and I, we've been proponents of the lab leak theory all along, but I've recently come across some articles that are worth mentioning now. Wow. So this is from the World Socialist website, right? And it says that a lot of the biggest proponents of the lab leak theory are the same people that sold you the Iraq war. And look.
Really?
Yeah. What? Okay, so look, I don't for a moment doubt that it says when crisis situations like this happen, of course everybody is going to invest in a theory that is beneficial to them. Doesn't mean that the lab leak theory is not true. Because if you actually read this World Socialist website, they try to use all these buzzwords like science and shit, and they say that people who ignore science, but then they never actually talk about the science themselves. They don't actually give you the scientific evidence to sort of debunk the whole idea that this could have been a lab leak. But see, this is the sheer arrogance of all these coffee table socialists who write for World Social Website. They think that if you bring up something like science against all the peasants, working class, Trump supporting peasants, we are just going to no, I mean, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm just saying that they're just going to put their tails between their legs.
Just have you noticed you have to put that in there?
Yeah,
See?
science.
See how things have become.
Wow.
No, also that you're not, and also that you're not a Trump supporter.
Oh yeah.
Why do we have to say
I
that?
apologize for saying that. I
hate that. Like they've made it that way, right?
I do not like to actually have disclaimers like that. But I'm just saying. Okay, fuck it, whatever. If you want to believe that I'm a Trump supporter, like all of you can believe it. I don't care.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. You can suck my dick. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, but what I mean is that so they use all these big buzzwords like science to scare, or like coastal elite attitude to scare all the peasants, but they don't actually should put any science themselves to back it up. You know what I mean? But it is worth considering that the lab leak hypothesis is actually going to be co-opted by a lot of the neocons Same way with Cuba or anything else, like
they're getting on the gravy train now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, do you think that a lot of these dictators across the world are guilty of human rights violations? Of course, but there's a reason why. Let's say if you talk about the Uyghurs or the Hong Kong protests or Cuba or whatever, I think there's an element of truth to it. I think these people have genuine grievances. But of course, at the same time, neocons are going to...
Look who's making the accusation, man. The biggest human rights abuser of all time.
So neocons are going to co-opt this shit because they will perceive China as an enemy, and they want to see all kinds, like they want to see them being punished. But at the same time, it is something to keep in mind going forward, that the lab leak hypothesis is going to be a very divided topic, because you have to deal with the fact that this is also going to be co-opted by neocons who wants to see terrible outcomes. What's
the reasoning for them to go into lab leak world? I can't see. I've never heard Bill Crystal talk about it. He's like one of the biggest neocons ever. Or is he a shit-live now?
So of course they want, they're doing it because, as you know, the Biden administration wants to put China on check, because they, as you can see, even if you look at their...
They've got the info on Hunter's laptop.
Yeah, so if you see the shift in Middle Eastern politics, like geopolitics, you can see that they are reappropriating resources to sort of, curb China and Russia. So those are sort of the...
Maybe that's what they're getting out of Afghanistan, technically.
Yeah, they're the new boogeyman. So Taliban is going to play a very crucial role in actually destabilizing China, because Taliban has close ties to the Uyghur Muslims in the Xinjiang region or whatever. I'm butchering all this. Yeah, don't get me to pronounce this shit. Yeah. So So at the end of the day, though, there is another very important thing that we need to bring up, is that I don't think China is always going to be this boogeyman that they want. I know there's some parts of America, they want China to be the boogeyman, but at the same time, you got to realize that a lot of these shit libs and the neocons have huge investments in China, and they're not going to fuck it up. You know what I mean? Those investments are too much. I mean...
Oh yeah, the Nike CEO was on CNBC praying at Mao's feet.
Yeah. China is China not only plays ball with Israel, they also, China plays ball with all these neocons and shitlibs and neoliberals. So they are never going to be the type of enemy that USSR was at some point in the history. So this is there's going to be some back and forth conflict of interest in this one. But it's something to keep an eye out. This
right. So I wanted to close out with fucking Hunter's laptop part 3, man.
Oh yeah. Go
so
on.
this guy, this idiot, right? He comes out of nowhere again. They find another laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, there's a video of him with a hooker.
Okay.
I mean, like, look at these scandals, man. They would have destroyed, like, I mean, you thought Trump was untouchable. I think Biden has got so much media co-option going on. They all carry, and it's primarily for listeners who don't know why. Most of the media elite are Democrats. They love the Democratic Party. They don't give a shit about the country or anything. They just want their coastal elite homes, their money, and being part of some kind of blue jet set.
You don't care about the fact that the Russians stole his laptop? That's what he claims, right?
Well, yeah, that's what he claims. So, but that's what I mean. It's funny that how they're drinking their own Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
This motherfucker thinks the Russians are actually out to get him, right? It's like when they tell you to lie so that you need to believe your own lies so that you can sell the lie better. That's what this guy's doing. He's literally, I mean, this guy, massive crack addict, man. By his own dad's crime bill standards, he should be in jail for life without parole,
Hunter
right?
Biden claims that
And he's got Secret Service protection while he's doing his fucking cocaine.
Hunter Biden claims that Russian drug dealers stole another one of his laptops for blackmail while he was,
I mean, we're finding your laptops with the hookers all over, and like, how many laptops are you losing, man? And what's up with them and laptops? Where's the iPads at?
I mean, isn't it? It's such hypocrisy that they are prosecuting hookers in America. You know, it's still even the most liberal states. I mean, I know New York decriminalized prostitution, but it's not really. You know what I mean? But
well, that's how they got. That's how they got Elliot Spitzer. Remember, they couldn't get rid of him because he was going after the bank. So they figured, let's create a scandal. He's banging a hooker. Oh my God! How dare you screw a prostitute? You're like the worst human being ever. Worse than Hitler. Worse than Bush.
Listen,
worse than any war criminal ever.
One of the oldest and the most important professions in the world, and we are. I mean, we still. I mean, that's where.
And the only profession that gives pleasure to people, man. What's your fucking problem? Leave them alone.
Yeah, I mean, it is the most sort of raw, down-to-earth, most honest type of, it addresses the most basic of human instincts. And you people are prosecuting these desperate, like women. It's fucking pathetic. Come on, America, get your shit together. Like, be like a.
Do you remember when Hugh Grant was caught with Divine Brown, the transgender, But remember how they like maligned her, like, look at this woman, it's fucking disgusting or whatever, I mean, I like the way he played it off. He got off. I mean, he didn't destroy his career at all. I think he was one of the first celebs to get through a bad scandal like untouched. Yeah. Then came that girl from that movie, Silver Linings Playbook, Jennifer Lawrence, right? They found her. Remember the iCloud hack? We found all her photos and pictures. And
happy birthday, by the way, Jennifer Lawrence. Today's her birthday.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Oh, congrats! I haven't seen her in a while.
I mean, Jennifer Lawrence, for whatever sake, there's something that I do like about her. You remember when Shit Lips got so triggered because she said this? She was in Hawaii and she sat on a rock or something, and she said that she scratched her butt on it, and it just turned out to be some sort of a sacred fucking rock for them. I mean, like, this just shows the hypocrisy.
So Shit Lips went to town on her?
This shows the hypocrisy of Shit Lips. You see,
where are these Shit Lips when Zuckerberg is trying to evict like a bunch of Hawaiians from their property?
Exactly. If I were to tell him, like, if a Christian is to say, or someone like that, this thing is sacred. This rock is sort of sacred. They will give us a scientific lecture about how the rock is sort of a, it's made out of all these collection of minerals, and they'll give you a scientific lecture. But suddenly Jennifer Lawrence scratches her butt, and like the rock turns sacred. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. Yeah. But anyway, Jennifer Lawrence, she's beautiful. She's hot. I mean, she's a shit lib, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to come back to your thing of Rolo Tomassi, right? Like, it's the same thing with this Hunter shit, right? I mean, this guy, he could be like banging a hooker on the White House lawn, and it would be like some kind of freaking word salad to sort of promote that he's better than Trump Jr. And I see a lot of the comments all over the place saying, well, Trump was worse, Trump did this, Trump... And forget the fact that his dad's a fucking rapist, man. But, I mean, even that is like... I mean, they had a guy, I don't know if you saw this, in the newsroom the other day, ask fucking Jen Psaki to her face about Biden's rape allegations, right? And all she did was... She's such a mannequin, man. And she just
you admitted to me this week something. You finally
but she's still a mannequin. Listen, everyone liked that movie Mannequin, right? That's all I'm gonna say. But I'm just saying that it just and the first thing I heard about was, that guy was from Daily Post. You see what they're doing here, right? Daily Post is like a crazy. And I think the funny thing is, you know what? I think it's all a charade because of the fact that Daily Post is also part of Murdoch's empire, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Murdoch would be having I don't think Murdoch would have issues with what's going on if it wasn't coordinated. Like, all right, my certain section of my media empire can be the bad guy, and then we'll do this other thing, and we'll play this fucking kabuki theater and make people think that right-wing media is being slighted. Listen, man, none of them will put up with this shit if it affects their bottom line, right? At the end of the day. It doesn't matter whether we're talking left or right. It's all about money, right? So I have a funny feeling that I think I mentioned this last week, that the Republicans are like playing their part in this whole fucking charade, right? They're pretending to be crazy because then they'll make the Democrats acceptable, and all the owners will be like, yes, good, my little Padawans, you all playing the right parts here, making me money. Good, let's fuck the people. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's absolutely, man, 100%. I mean,
but how do we go around proving this? That's the thing. It's like such a
sinking feeling.
Orchestrated fucking thing.
But anyway, there was another shitlib post on Twitter I saw from someone who is expressing a lot of concern about the U.S. troops withdrawing from Afghanistan. So they say that in a few weeks, every woman in Afghanistan will be forced to wear this, like a face cover. They will not be allowed to.
Oh, like they weren't doing that before 9/11?
I mean, I'm thinking, oh man, it must suck to cover your face. Oh, like.
In that
like
heat?
when you wear the mask, what I mean?
Oh.
yeah. So, we are forced to do that anyway, right? Isn't
yeah.
it?
We can. Shouldn't they invade us and free us from masks?
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see the Muslims, try to liberate us from this shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
it's all bullshit, man. It's such fucking. This is all like that whole feeling better about themselves. We're spreading democracy. This is all the same shit Bush tried and the liberals went insane. It's all about their guy doing it. That's all. But hey, Biden's conference, like at the beginning of that clip we played, he just a month ago, it's not gonna fall, and now it's fallen. And on top of that, let it fucking fall. But you know what? It's just like they can't leave any place. They have to be there always. They've still got those mercs in there, right? And contractors and all kinds of assholes making money, probably fucking working with Taliban. Because, they fight each other half the time.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so before I go, I want to also do a bit of a cross-promotion, which is me and my son, we had a great podcast the other day where we discussed about the Joker and the Batman universe.
Right, I saw that.
So I'll put it on the footnotes where... Yeah, my son's only 13, but you'll be pretty shocked by how much he sounds like an adult when it comes to...
Oh, yeah. And I personally, my favorite Joker will probably be... I know it's very obvious here. Probably Heath Ledger.
Did you know that Luke Skywalker was the Joker? Mark Hamill was the Joker for the Batman animation?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
That changes everything.
He's been doing voiceovers forever.
Oh, my God. He's amazing. He actually sounds nothing like the Luke Skywalker. He has this really amazing,
he's got his
raspy sort of voice now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
he's also a huge shitlib, by the way.
Oh well, unfortunately, right?
I just destroyed your fucking.
Yeah. So, what does he think of COVID summer then? Like, he should probably, as a shitlib, he'd want to see the COVID going electric. You ever seen the movie COVID Summer? It's actually a great film. It's it's not a great. It's great if you love COVIDs. You know what I mean? Like the American cast, and he's like the student who goes to Las Vegas or somewhere to claim a COVID. That
is this an 80s movie?
Yes, right after. It was a big flop, but it's kind of got its.
I'm surprised that he didn't make it bigger than he did, considering he played Luke Skywalker. Look at Harrison Ford. He went into the stratosphere, but.
So it's just...
This guy just stayed Luke Skywalker forever.
So it's just him and Harrison Ford now that's left, right? Everyone else is the actor who played Darth Vader behind the...
No, Palpatine is still alive.
Oh, I know who... the guy who played C-3PO is still alive, right?
Anthony Daniels, yeah.
He's still alive. The short guy...
Yeah, the other guy's short guy's
Yeah,
dead.
the R2D2 is dead. So was the guy who played Chewbacca. He's dead. So, and of course,
He just died, yeah,
you would
recently.
have thought Carrie Fisher would have outlived all of them, but unfortunately,
Oh, she passed away like 5 years ago, I think.
I
or
was
4 years
I
ago.
was in Sri Lanka when she passed away. I must say that I was deeply affected by Carrie Fisher's death. I mean, she was beautiful, and her mother Debbie Reynolds, who's also actually really famous in Sri Lanka. Debbie Reynolds,
Yes, yeah.
because
Debbie Reynolds is very famous.
Debbie
yeah.
Reynolds is famous in certain parts of the world, like especially in Sri Lanka among the Catholic community, because she played this movie called The Singing Nun, which sort of to the Christian people has the same type of impact as Sound of Music did. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
in many ways.
yeah.
So she died literally the next day or the day after, because she couldn't. She was heartbroken from her daughter's death.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, terrible. Yeah, but anyway, I think, it's, if you want to find me, I'll be at True Free Thinkers, and you can also check out the Beyond Narratives Facebook page, and that'll be all for this week, I guess. Yeah.
All right, guys. So yeah, once again, like you can find me at AlanFX _ ALINEFX _, and I think we're back on a roll now. It felt good doing this, and we'll always get plenty of fodder from the fucking useless neoliberals, always doing the Rolo Tomassi shit, and we're literally punching into the air right now. But you know what? At least we're punching.
Yeah.
Peace out.